Hi everybody, Renegade 67 and or 68 here with some more Let's Play Stream Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Working of the Blind variety. Last time, me and Rin had a bit of a lover's quarrel, but before we could climax, as it were, we got interrupted by Shinji, such a mood killer. And now we're fighting Ryder. That went well last time. Hopefully it goes just as well this time. What's actually happening right now? Ellipses doesn't give me much context. She's coming. Coming, huh? Maybe if she comes hard enough, you can come in return. And then... It's okay. We just had enough foreplay with Rin. No need to foreplay with... We've already done plenty of servant macking in the first time. I'm in a horny mood today for some reason. She's coming. What I have to do is get out of this place. To do so, I would have to block her nail a few times. The fact that I have to defend myself using a chair leg is so pathetic that it's funny. If I at least had... What do you need? My kingdom for a bow and arrow. Those swords that Archer uses. If this stick was as splendid as the weapons he had, I might even be able to counter... You saw those? You and your crazy vision, you're telling me now? You saw fucking Archer's, because those were different, the blades he was using in the Lancer fight, you saw that close that you could see the blades he whipped out? Wow. You and your crazy vision. I didn't know that you were using your vision at the time. Apparently you were. Also funny, you're gonna make Archer swords. Almost like you're the same fucking person. If he's not the same person, I feel like this has to be intentional at this point. If he's not the same person, it's a clear red herring, in which case I wonder what they're trying to distract me from. What is the truth they're turning me away from? Because this is so many parallels at this point. I might even be able to counterattack. Whoa, that's a lot of dashes. I don't have time to think about what ifs. Oh, really? But what if you're Archer? What if Archer is you from the future alternate timeline past? It's about 30 meters to get out of the woods. This isn't much compared to the chase I had with Tosaka. Tosaka's a much stronger fighter than Rin. I mean, Tosaka's a much stronger rider. I feel like that's only true because of his hormones, because he doesn't actually want to fight Rin. I feel like if he wanted to fight Rin, he would have a much easier time with Rin than Ryder. But anyways, I run. If Archer is Shiro, I wonder which waifu he went for. That's a great question, because if we're going based on this Archer is from one predetermined future, then it would have to be, you know, whether it's the Saber route or the Rin route or the Sakura, assuming it's Sakura. That's still my assumption. I could be wrong. I don't want to assume that so hard that I forget it's an assumption. And whichever the case, theoretically he's just from one future. It could be another future disconnected from all of them, or he could have theoretically went through the exact same experience as Shiro, repeating the Grail war over and over until he led to some inevitable end that we're theoretically going to be trying to avoid because Archer helps us avoid it, because he's seen the future past, but maybe he's seen a slightly different future past. I run! I ignore the annoying sound of chairs and run frantically toward the exit. Which exit? It's a fucking forest! I repel the attack from above. Hick or schmack! Then, using the weapon, I block the roundhouse kick extended by the servant. Nice! Slipper slash! She's in front of me now. Oh boy. I repel her attacks. No way! It's like he's as good as a servant. As if he is a servant. But, like, that's the thing. It can't just be... Okay, clearly there's something up with Shiro, and it's more than just Archer Shiro from the future past. Or it is both. He's from the future and past. Because that's the thing, is that, like, it'd be one thing if Archer is Shiro from the future after, you know, becoming some kind of magical, awesome servant of awesome, but that doesn't explain how he's so crazy, retardedly awesome. Okay, maybe I shouldn't use that word. Right now. So stupendously awesome right now, that suggests that he's secretly a spirit already. So maybe there's like a loop going on, where Archer is him in the future, but also Archer is him in the past, you know. Which came first, the Archer or the Shiro? The servant in black retreats. Dash. It's just a coincidence. If the first surprise attack was blocked by coincidence, these attacks were also blocked by chance. It's not a coincidence. It's your instincts and reflexes. You're better than you think you are, Shiro. I can't even see her movements. You only think you can't. Maybe two Shiros at the same time in the same timeline was fucking with reality and our Shiro? That's very possible, especially if Shiro went back in the future past and gave him the summoning circle. It existed. It definitely, they talked about it. I keep doubting myself on this, but in the prologue or whatever, they talk about how there's this weird markings on my floor. The egg came first. Where did the egg come from? The chicken. Where did the chicken come from? Come on, Tom Stone, get on my level. I can't even see your movements. For me to stay alive in spite of that is nothing but pure luck. It is not luck. You think it's luck. That you telling yourself it's luck is to avoid maybe not what's a hard truth. You've gotten past, I think, avoiding hard truths, but avoiding very unrealistic truths that you're like, there's no way. It's got to be luck. I think that's more what it is this time. Archer maybe wished back to the fourth war in his timeline and went to his house and drew a circle. Yeah, it's like, I gotta draw the circle so that you become the master, because if you don't become the master, Saber ends up getting a different master who's all shitty and stuff. But then I end up getting drawn into the Grail War without being part of the Grail War. That's gotta be loop logic if that's the case. And I'm willing to accept loop logic, but I prefer if there is a chronology to it. I'm more of a fan of if you can draw a straight line, even if the line goes in really weird directions, if you can draw a straight line from beginning to end in terms of timelines and how they splintered. If they're going to do loop logic, that's fine. Not a huge fan of it. I prefer straight line logic, but for me to stay alive in spite of that is nothing but pure luck. The chicken came from the egg, but the egg came from an evolution prior to the chicken. Well, now we're just talking about Digimon, Tom, which I don't mind, but, you know, Digitamamon hasn't really seen much play recently. I was a fan of it in BT1 format, but, like, even in 1.0, because of Purple and Black being in the metagame, I don't even think it's that good. There are more better ways to gain memory at this point. You're better off just playing, you know, a zero-cost Evo like Blossomon. What? For me to stay alive in spite of that is nothing but pure luck. I would say Ulti Argomon, but it's at 1 now. But, Demo, Shikashwa. Are coincidences something that continue on like this? Okay, good. He's still noticing. Even though it's really weird, he's noticing. Yes, smart Shiro. I have to be impressed every time. What if my assumptions are wrong in the first place? Yes. The first attack. The surprise attack to my head. Emiya Shiro could not block such attacks, but you blocked it anyway. Is he gonna realize that he's a superpowered awesome? I cannot block them even by coincidence. Well, you're blocking them at several. It's clearly not a coincidence. It's fucking instinct, man.
Annette.
You. The servant in black murmurs. Oh, fuck. Are we getting some kind of reveal now? It's a big tease. I don't think they're going to reveal yet. I think it's a big reveal. I think they'd hold it a little, but there's probably going to be a big tease here. How long are they going to hold it then? Probably this pathway? I guess maybe this pathway, assuming I'm right. Whatever it is. If Shiro is Archer, it's probably going to be revealed in this pathway. If Shiro's not Archer, it's still probably going to be revealed in this pathway. Unless there's a double twist and they reveal he's something in this pathway and then he's revealed he's also Archer in the next pathway. But there's probably going to be some big twist like that in this pathway. Makes me wonder what pathway 3 would be about. But that's what's so cool. In my opinion, that's what's so cool so far about... Even though I think I sort of have a clear idea of there being 3 timelines based on the Taiga Dojo count and stuff. It was really cool. The first timeline, while there was some stuff unanswered, it felt rather satisfying. And this feels like they're going... It feels like, even though they're, like, chronologically in order, you could, like, see just one, and it's still a fairly good story from beginning to end, and I respect that greatly, even though this one feels like it chronologically comes after the first, from my gatherings of the magic that Shiro is using. The servant in black murmurs. Her irritated voice is rather surprisingly beautiful. Even now, Shiro has to, you know, have some of his horniness come through. I respect that, being horny myself. Timeline 2 could just be a real big timeline. Well, sure it could. You're not wrong. It could just be one really big timeline. That's not impossible, definitely. It's just because Timeline 2 based on Timeline 1 based on Taiga Dojos seems like there's room for 2 more timelines with remaining Taiga Dojos. I'm not really... It could totally still be one long timeline. It could even be 3 short timelines. I'm not ruling out either necessarily. It's just, it seems most likely rule of 3 also in storytelling, the trilogy as it were, it would make the most sense to me. I would not at all mind though if we had like a, you know, an actual 4th timeline to spend time with Ilia. I'm assuming there's a soccer timeline. I could be wrong. 3rd timeline could be Ilia timeline, but it's like Ilia's in the Taiga dojas, and I feel like that's their way of going, oh, here's more Ilia even though she doesn't have her pathway. And I'd be sad about that because I like Ilia, but theories. Just because it's my theory doesn't mean I want it to be true. I'd be totally glad to be proven wrong and have like timeline 3 be surprisingly the Ilia timeline. Her irritated voice is rather surprisingly beautiful.
大したことないな。他のサーバントに比べたら迫力不足だ。
Ha! You're no good. You're not as good as the other servants. Based on the ones, well, he's fought against Lancer, and he's seen Archer do some stuff, and Saber, and Berserker. So yeah, I think it's fair of him to assume that Ryder's on the weaker end. The ones he wouldn't have seen in this timeline so far would be Assassin. Caster, he hasn't had much personal experience with. And that would be it. He would have seen, right? Is that right? Ryder, Archer, Saber, Berserker, Lancer. He's seen the rest at this point. You're not as good as the other servants. I swing at the servant in front of me. Oh shit, in this timeline is because he's realizing more of how badass he is. Maybe he's actually going to be able to be on par with the weak servant. She was getting a bit cocky here. Ryder and Michi's holding back. That's debatable. Even if Ryder was holding back here, it's still impressive even then for Shiro to do this good. He also might be egging her on a little on purpose, because maybe he realized she's holding back for some reason. So maybe he wants to try to coax out the reason. I don't know if she was being that smart about it, but you know, anything's possible with our smarter timeline to Shiro. The servant in black blocks my blow and jumps back. I can make it! There's nothing in my way now. The servant in black has retreated. Nothing in my way now. I gotta watch some more Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. They do a really catchy way, the voice actor does, when he's like, neither mountains nor oceans, nothing in my way, 7s. It really pumps me up. If nothing else, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been good at pumping me up with their fancy card playing techniques. Anyways, that was just on my mind. The servant in block has The servant in block has retreated. They've retreated, but they can't retreat it if they've also blocked. You got to do one or the other. If you block, you don't have time to retreat. I guess you could treat in black at the same time, but you're half-assing at that point. Pick one or the other. Now all I have to do is go for a few more meters and. Okay, I guess she's not holding back anymore. No, that's as far as you go. Oh, you were already captured. Okay, I think I understand what's happening then. So, they were hoping Saber would... So, okay, Ryder is basically a caster, let's be honest. Ryder has a bunch of caster-type shit. She rides a fancy unicorn, but otherwise she very much functions like a caster. Which goes into why I was like, hey, Ryder and caster, maybe they're like the same person. But, Ryder seems to have set up a fancy-wancy thing, and probably wanted Saber to show up so that, they could do the fancy-wancy thing on Saber. But now that Ryder's realizing, oh shit, Shiro's a bit of a pain in the dick, she might be just going to use it on Shiro. I would think they might just take out Shiro without bothering with Saber, but they'd probably be like, well, Saber could maybe find a new master, might as well take out the servant too if we can. That's a fair point. And also, Shiro might be the kind of person that might want to be like, I want to completely defeat Shiro. Not just, you know, I mean, as much as he would be all for, you know, cheekily being the jerk part of him would probably be fine with just killing Shiro quietly. But the pride part of him, especially because it's Shiro, would want to beat him completely, servant and all, I feel. Anyways, huh? Eh? My body falls. Rather, I'm being pulled back. My right arm hurts. Oh, it's that right arm again. That was the one you used to block Rin? Or was that the left arm? I don't remember. Directions. The pierced arm is being pulled by some force? Oh, is it the arm you blocked Rin with? Maybe there's like an invisible chain on it already? Do you not understand? That thing in your arm is my nail. Ooh, kinky. We know in the first timeline he went to school when Ryder activated the field for no real good reason. Shinji has that pride. Oh yeah, that's true. It's a duality. Like, Shinji's a douche enough that he probably doesn't morally care, but he's got the pride that he wants to prove he's better. Yeah, that's fair. That thing in your arm is my nail. Your nail? That makes me realize. The thing extending from her weapon. Uh-oh. The annoying sound of chains. You were all tied up from the start. And now is when Archer and Rin show up to save me, right? And then we save each other? The sounds of the chains moving. The sound of the binding chains that I've heard since I came out of the building. It was like an invisible shadow possession jutsu. But like when the knife got thrown into you, it was gonna like possession you. Maybe the idea is that the nail was supposed to one-shot kill Rin, and then capture you afterwards, if that's a thing it could do. Otherwise, it was gonna kill Rin, but capturing was a backup. Like if Rin had ducked out of the way, they weren't probably expecting you to block, but. Oh crap! Oh, yep, the chains that bind. I reach out for my right arm with my left, but it's too late. Uh-oh. The arm moves up by itself and is lifted up. Uh-oh. That sounds painful. That's the painful music. He wants to be a mage like Rin and Ilya, but doesn't have the skill nor intelligence. I mean, he's got some pretty funky powers. It's true he doesn't have the knowledge. I'll admit that. But saying that he doesn't have the skill, maybe he doesn't have the skill to control his secret, awesome, amazing powers, but I think it's wrong to say... Oh, you're talking about Shinji, never mind. Sorry, thought you were talking about Shiro for a second. They both start with she, right? They're both secretly the same person, and also Archer. That was a crack theory I had in Timeline 1. Ugh! Ignoring my agony, it lifts me up. The nail in my right arm. The chains coming out of it dangle me in the air using a branch as a fulcrum. Uh-oh. Yeah, Shiro doesn't really want to be a mage at all. Well, he said he wanted to be like a hero like his father who happened to be magical, but... Yeah, this is kind of make or break time, I feel. Maybe this is the thing that they wanted to use on Saber. So now you can call Saber? I mean, it feels a little late at this point, doesn't it? Well, it seems you were saying something very interesting. Oh, you insulted her pride, saying you were the weakest servant? Uh-oh. The servant in black approaches. As I said in Timeline 1, Shiro's voice actor. Very good at portraying the suffering. Great pick for the role. I can't run away or fight now that I'm suspended in midair. Yeah, you can't fight when you're suspended. You have to be unsuspended to attack. Okay. Yep. Even she has a certain amount of pride. Oh, fuck. You said I am inferior to other servants? I mean, in close quarters combat, sure, but you have some good castery stuff, which maybe isn't suited the most. I mean, it's kind of half-assed, assuming you're not the real caster. You feel like a second place to the real caster, and your unicorn doesn't really make up for it the best. It's decent, but it doesn't, like, win against a lot of other noble phantasms like sabers, for example, but... Oh, boy. First, I thought it was Shinji's pride that was going to be the issue. This is troubling. I cannot kill you unless I correct that misunderstanding of yours. Alright, Shiro, good. She said she's not going to kill you, so you can just enjoy the pain. Until Rin and Archer show up and save the day. I'm like a sacrifice. It's like the one put to the gallows in a Western movie. A Western movie? How many of those have you seen, Shiro? Like master, like servant. They do say that servants who summon tend to be like yourselves, I suppose. Which is why it's weird that her alignment says she's good. cheese and crackers. Speaking of which, you know what we haven't checked in a while? What's up with weapon and status? Absolutely nothing. We have no new weapons. It's just these two still. Status, though, we should have some new stuff, right? For Saber, does she have anything new? No, it doesn't seem like it. What about Lancer? No, we haven't seen Lancer since the prologue still. Archer? Archer, I suppose, has nothing new. That's fair. Rider. Oh, we don't know who this is yet. That's right. We don't know who this is. That's a very fair point. Alright, so still nothing new. I know that it gives a little indication when there's something new, but maybe I thought I just hadn't been paying attention. Alright. It's like the one to put the gallows on a Western movie. The nail-like dagger is raised. Uh-oh! The servant in black licks the tip of it. Ooh, just the tip. Like tipoima? I don't know if you're in the chat, but... Anyways. Let me see. Oh boy, I shall take those mistaken eyes of yours. Oh, yeah, this is very Shinji. It's the torture aspect. You're not gonna kill me, you're gonna take my eyes because they're mistaken. It was more of a sense than a thing with my eyes. I mean, you look hot, don't get me wrong. And I'm not underestimating you because of your gender. After all, I think Saber's great. It's not your gender, you just suck. I shall take your remaining limbs afterwards. Ooh. Are you the kinky torture type? Because, you know, with that voice, kinky torture. It sounds like something, you know, I might enjoy just a little bit. Oh, it might be almost as fun as when Ilya kills me. I mean, I don't know. Sounds up my alley. It's a shame I saw Ilya first. She jumps lightly and appears right in front of me, who's suspended 3 meters above the ground. In front of me? Who's suspended... Why are you calling yourself a who? Is that normal grammar? Feels weird to me, but then again, I'm not the best at grammar. Dash, 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 dash. Wouldn't it be whom? Wouldn't it be whom? Anyways. The nail comes for me. My body still moves. My body stilleth moveth, it does. If. Oh, choice? Usually I followed by dashes is a choice. Hey! The sign of a choice. Cool. So, what is our choice? Use the command spell. Fight using my remaining left arm. I can pull out this nail in my right arm. I feel like we have to pull out the nail. We already had a choice of using the... Did we have a choice of using the command spell earlier? And we just decided not to, right? No, there was no choice. Shiro just decided on his own. If there was a choice, I would see it here. There was no choice earlier. Shiro just decided on his own it's a bad idea. I feel like I want to continue on to the notion it's a bad idea. I feel like, A, we've already wasted one command spell in this timeline. And if we use it, she has some plan, right? I feel like the best bet is to have Archer save us. And if we use a command spell, we might just be wasting it if Archer's about to save us in like 5 seconds. So fighting using my left arm probably won't do much. I could be wrong. It could be that he could just use the left arm and do like a sword birth or some shit. And that's good enough. But I feel, I don't know. Maybe he should be focused on fighting. But I just feel it's going to be hard for him to do it with the nail in his right arm. Maybe he can fight through the pain though. Or he pulls out the nail. If it just ends up being using the command spell, I'm going to feel silly. Because right now I'm going back and forth between the other two options. Yeah, maybe that's why Archer hasn't done anything yet. I feel like Rin wouldn't want that at this point. I think her hormones are far too on fire. But, yeah, Archer probably like, okay, summon Saber, then I kill them both. That's what I'm waiting for. Fight using my remaining left arm, or I can pull out this nail. I think he's strong enough to pull out the nail. And that would give him a chance to maybe get away enough for Archer to do a trick shot. If he tries to fight using the left arm, he could just be putting himself in a worse position. I can see arguments for both, but I think I'm going to go for the nail. I honestly think the spell is wrong at this point. So, I'm going to say I think I can pull out this nail. I can pull out the nail in my right arm. I throw away my weapon and reach for my right arm with my free left hand. Oh, jeez. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe I should have enhanced my weapon now that I think about it. I don't know, because he's like a sword birther. He already had a sword, but he could have, like... Because we never got a good look at the sword. It said he birthed the sword, but we never really saw him do it.
勇敢ですね。常に痛みを伴う選択をするなんて。
You are brave. You are always selecting the choice that brings you pain. Oh, man. Now I'm thinking, if he birthed that sword based on seeing Archer have that sword, isn't that like another chicken in the egg scenario? Where he sees Archer has the sword, so he births the sword, and if he's Shiro in the future past, then he gets the sword because he saw himself from the future. He just dismissed it as a what if? Oh. Oh, is that what it was? Oh, right, because from earlier, he had the sword from when he was fighting Rin. He turned the leg into a sword. Is that what it was? I thought he actually birthed the sword. Oh, he dismissed it as a what if. I understand. Because he would have double birthed, right? So that means it's a red herring, and he's obviously not a red herring. It's foreshadowing, and he obviously is going to birth the sword later on. Maybe he would birth it in this scenario. Maybe he can birth the sword to cut his hand free? I don't know. He definitely wasn't doing any of his favors with the strengthening, right? Because if he really wants his sword birth, he has to throw away his strengthened weapon. But, so maybe throwing the weapon away is correct in that case? Free my other arm, sword birth, double archer swords? You're always selecting the choice that brings you pain. My movements have to be like slow motion to her. That almost certainly is foreshadowing that we're going to sword birth those swords later on, but it might not be now. It might be in a later fight. This might be blowing the load a little early, so maybe that's wrong, but... My movements have to be like slow motion to her. You'd think that, but you're moving in the slow, fast motion. The servant in black thrusts out her nail to pierce my left hand as well. Does she succeed? Dash, dash. I swing my body desperately to avoid it, but it's useless. Oh, is it useless? Are we fucked? The servant mercilessly thrusts her nail. As she is shot from the side by numerous bright bullets. Alright, that would be Rin, not Archer, I think. But it works, right? We did not waste our command spell. That's the important part. I think if I tried to fight back, she would just be like, oh, that's cute, and, like, attack us. But by trying to pull her arm out, maybe that's like, I don't know. By trying to properly fight back, she would probably injure us really badly. But by trying to pull her arm out, she probably is fine to delay the inevitable, which might be enough of an inevitable delay for Rin to do that. Whereas if I'd used the command spell, she probably had some like, aha, you fell into my trap card where I catch Saber because of bull. Or I can't even use the command spell. It's very possible that because of the trap I'm in, it like shuts off my magical connection. I don't know if she'd be able to do that given that it's a Grail connection, but I don't fucking know how magic works. She is shot from the side by numerous bright bullets. Nice! Itai! I fall to the ground. The bullets cut the chains in. I hit my butt on the ground. With the command spell, she might just go Defcon 0 and nuke Pegasus. Possibly. Eventually, I'll go back and hit that choice to find out how we would have died. But for now, I think I made the right choice. She seemed to have been waiting for the Saber summon. It felt wasted to me because Archer and Rin were both nearby. I was expecting Archer to help me out, to be honest, but, you know, Rin works. Dash, dash, dash. The servant in black turns her back. She jumps onto a branch and retreats like a beast. Oh, because what? She senses that Archer is nearby, maybe? Well, she should have known all along that they were both here. But maybe, actually, maybe that's exactly what it was. Like, she wanted to take out Shiro or take out Saber into the trap. That was part of the plan. But when Rin showed up, she's like, oh, fuck, Archer's... And she maybe senses Archer close by and just gets out of there. Rin doesn't trust Archer with the situation. Like, has Rin learned Archer's MO well enough yet? You're still calling me Emiya. Alright, I guess I'm not that close to you yet. Are you alright, Emiya-kun? Why do you care? Well, no, I know why you care, because I've seen the bad ending. As soon as she runs up to me, she takes my hand. Want you to hold my hand.
とにかく血止めしないと。
エミヤ君、何か巻くもの持ってない？
I have to stop the bleeding. Do you have anything to wrap around it? I mean, I have Avalon, so I'm probably fine. And you're here, so you could try to suck the blood dry. No, I wouldn't actually say that.
ハンカチ発見。いつも桜が用意してくれてるんで、きっと清潔。
Sakura-chan to the rescue. Oh, I have a handkerchief. It's probably clean since Sakura prepared it for me. Ooh, there's your waifu rival, Rin. What you gonna think about that?
似た者同士か。けどないよりマシよ。私のタオルとそれで、なんとか格好ぐらいはつけられる。
It's not much better than mine, so you admit it's better than yours? She's the better waifu than you? But it's better than nothing. We can make do with my towel after that. Alright. She takes my pulse and murmurs something like a spell. It must be styptic and painkiller, as my right hand feels a bit better. Tosaka carefully puts the handkerchief on my wound and wraps the towel around it. So, let me guess. Even if there's two outcomes here, the likely one almost for sure is, oh, you just saved my life, team up. But the other possibility is she's still the honorable type. So she would be like, all right, we'll call it quits for today. But next time we really are going to fight. I'm doubting that one, but I think I'd prefer it. Because it gives us a chance. It gives a chance for her to mull over what happened and if she really wants to go through with this. And it gives me a better chance to actually talk her down in our rematch fight in theory if it happens. I'm doubting they're going to do it, but I would prefer that route. Because that would mean Shinji effectively saved Rin, because earlier on we had a choice, but both choices were essentially giving up to Tosaka. So if the idea was, oh, I definitely would have lost, and Shinji saved me, and that ends up coming around full circle, where maybe Shiro's the one to defeat, I don't know, there's a full circle thing potentially there. But in addition, Shiro manages to talk down Rin, because there was some time that Shinji gave him an extension on, that I would like. If they instant team up here, I wouldn't be as big of a fan of it, but that is what I am expecting. So game, please prove me wrong. Ellipses. Seeing her like that reminds me. Tosaka is beautiful and a nice person. Oh yeah, that's right. We're going back to that. Horniness. I was watching her from a distance, admiring her for meeting an honor student, until 3 days ago. Oh yeah, she was so hot. Okay, I think Shiro's really starting to become a Rin sexual now. As it turns out, her true personality was far away from my imagination. But it's not like she was any different inside. My heart's pounding. Oh yeah, I think the Rin sexualness has arrived. Tosaka's a nice person. She's so close to me. And she's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so arrived. That I can forgive her for everything that happened until now. I can't think straight. Oh my god. I forgive you for everything. Let's team up. Come on, Shiro. Keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants. At least for now. Shiro's definitely into powerful women. Well, now that he's past his whole, I need to protect women who stay in the kitchen. That's probably true, yeah. I mean, that was because of, I guess that came more down to conditioning and his hero complex and thinking that he needs someone to protect for his death wish. So now that his death wish is theoretically gone, I think he can respect the stronger women more for sure. Oh, yes, toe sucker, please suck my toes. Exactly. Forgive everything. You're beautiful, so I forgive you. You know, Ryder's pretty beautiful, too, let's be honest. I mean, I haven't seen her face, so I don't know how, just how beautiful she is, but she's pretty beautiful, too. You can't forgive her. Ilya's, you can't forgive Ilya with her beautifulness, but alright, it's fine. I get it. I mean, I'm weird because I'm more willing to forgive, not realistically, but out of universe, I'm more realistically willing to forgive them if they're more naughty. Whereas Rin has just been more stubborn than naughty. Ilya and Ryder and characters like them are more naughty when they do it. And I'm like, yes, please, naughty girl, please do the bad thing to me. Ooh. But, Fate Shiro was very biased towards Ilya. That's very true. That's very true. That was definitely sexism marching on him, thinking that he could save her. And he was right. He actually ended up saving her, to be very completely fair and true. Thankfully, that happened after his death-seekingness was over, or he might have actually let himself die there. I can't think straight.
よし。応急処置はこんなところね。
Alright, I guess this is good for now.
それで、あいつ何だったの？追いついたらとんでもないことになってたから、とにかく援護してみたけど。
So what was that? I tried to back you up since you were in a terrible situation when I caught up with you. You definitely had a bit of a... I assumed you were taking so long to get here because you were calling Archer. That's why I thought it was taking you so long. The fact that it wasn't definitely says to me you were considering a lot, because you could have just ran right away after Shiro. You could also just be way fucking slower than him, but it feels to me more like you hesitated because you were caught off guard that mostly that he saved your life, and thinking about what that means for the ramifications of the fight you already had. You are a speed chess person, but that probably definitely threw you for a loop and made you think a bit more. Oh, she was healing the girl. Forget everything I just said. Well, she did it, though. She could have thought all those things. Well, she took the time to heal the girl that she said she was going to do. That's a very fair point. You're a very wise fool, Wise. I'm just a fool.
俺もわからない。ここまで追いかけてきて襲われた。
That's really my shtick, isn't it? Always assuming the craziest things and forgetting the basic stuff. I don't know. I followed that person here and I was attacked. And you saw Shinji. Are you not going to admit that? If you were avoiding hard truths, you wouldn't admit it. But you're not avoiding hard truths anymore, are you? I concisely tell her what happened. I decided not to say anything about seeing Shinji. Oh, really? And why? Why aren't you going to say anything about Shinji? You know it's Shinji. At least you're not lying to yourself. That's an improvement. Maybe you're not sure how to handle the situation? Maybe because of Sakura you want to tread carefully? It might have been my imagination, even if it was him. I don't have any proof that he's connected with that servant. Okay, Shiro, that sounds like Timeline 1 Shiro. Timeline 1 Shiro wouldn't even address this in his inner monologue. It would just be buried deep down. Still, though, that's very dodgy. I have to assume it's because of Sakura's sake that you want to assume that it's not the worst. But you gotta be ready for that possibility, Shiro. Dash, dash.
そんな顔するな。正体はつかめなかったけど、ともかくあいつもサーバントだろ。
Don't make a face like that.
俺たち以外にマスターがいたってことじゃないか。
I couldn't tell who she was, but she's a servant, so that means there's another master here.
そうね。学校に私たち以外のマスターがいるってことは知ってたけど、ようやく尻尾を出したってわけか。
Yeah, I knew there was another master at this school, so this means that master finally made a move. Well, Lancer was there anyway, so I think there's no reason not to assume Lancer's master might be at the school anyways, but the girl we just saw was a different servant, so, you know, we can exchange cue cards and be like, well, there's at least 2 servants that know of the school. Maybe it's due to him having such a strong connection to Shinji and Sakura pre all this bullshit. I think it's more about Sakura. I want to assume that Timeline 2 Shiro knows enough to know that Shinji's just a little bit of a shitbag, but he deals with it for Sakura's sake, so he's hoping that he's wrong about Shinji being a big shitbag, essentially, but I would like to think Timeline 2 Shiro is smart enough to know that if it really turns out that Shinji is the big shitbag, to not turn away from the truth. Tosaka slumps her shoulders. It seems Tosaka already knew about this third master, which makes it weird. Why did you attack me at school then if you knew about the third master? We were both in danger. And the reason why is because, well, that's exactly why. Rin knew there was another master, and she was worried about Shiro walking around getting attacked by whoever the other master was, and then just dying. So Rin was trying to beat whoever that was to the punch by getting him out of the war. Yes. Alright. Good on you, Rin. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So you're a little more put together. But you can trust me now, right? You can trust me. You see how competent I am? Maybe going forward we can, form that alliance thing that we did in the other timeline. But this time, less of you being forced to rely on me because your servant is and me being forced to rely on you because I'm and this time it can be more, hey, we're both pretty good. Mm-hmm. Then that master is the one who attacked the female student?
待った、トサカ。さっきの子はどうなった？
Hold on, Tosaka, how's the girl?
持ち直したわ。今は保健室で寝かせてあるからもう大事はないと思う。
She's doing better. She's sleeping in the nurse's office now, so her life's not in danger. Okay, yeah, this was definitely a trap then. The reason probably Shinji didn't bother interfering if Rin just, turned us, did the Ghiblies with us is because there was some prep time needed, where she probably set up some kind of saber sapping thingamajigger, and then once they were ready, they had to mess with the girl in the right position so that they would get lured into the trap. So that's why I think that if Rin beat Shiro fast enough, Shinji wouldn't have bothered interrupting because he wouldn't have had time to set up his Ghiblies.
そうか。それはよかった。
I see, that's good. Yeah, this rider is a weird rider. She definitely feels more like a caster than a rider. The caster also feels like a caster though, so Prep time is not uncommon for casters. I sigh with relief. Debatable. You're saying that Shinji would definitely know about Shiro's hero-saving qualities. Debatable because Shinji's the kind of person that wants to believe it's all bullshit. He's actually better than everything, that Shiro isn't as good as he claims he is, and there's actually some darkness in there. And he's right, but wrong about what kind of darkness. And now he's a little over some of that darkness. So I don't know if it's even true. It was probably just a basic trap that he thought, well, they're both there, so they'll both do the good thing and fall for the trap. Or even Rin will fall, or Rin is good enough that she'll fall for the trap, maybe. I don't know. Or we'll see if Shiro's actually as good as he claims he is. Maybe that's a bit of a test trap. Like, is Shiro really so noble, or is it all an act and he's just going to leave the girl there to suffer? So it's kind of a win for him either way. Like, if he falls for the trap, good, he falls for the trap. But if he doesn't, it's like, haha, I was right, Shiro. You are actually a load of shit all along. But that sounds more like Shinji to me. But I sigh with relief. That means all problems have been resolved. Then what's left is...
何よ、人のことじっと見て。言っとくけど、私はあんなことしないからね。
Hey, huh? Why are you staring at me? Hey, I won't do something like that. Well, I know you won't attack an innocent girl, but Shiro's probably thinking... So, I mean, what is he thinking with all his hormones? I was gonna say, is he gonna do the honorable thing and ask to continue the fight? Because, they were in the middle of it. Rin would definitely be like, no, we're not continuing. Because that's her honorable thing in this moment for sure, especially now that Shiro's injured improperly. If it wasn't for Shiro's hormones, I think he might suggest to continue the fight. But because of his hormones, he might still suggest it anyway, but I feel like he'd be very awkward about it, and because he's not sure how to continue the conversation, because of his hormones, he's like, so, are we still fighting? Please no? I don't know, that kind of thing. I don't know how she misunderstood. Tosaka sometimes makes the stupidest misunderstandings. I just have so much fun whenever Shiro calls someone else stupid. I enjoy it the most. But at least in this timeline, there's some more backing to it. But it's not wrong. He's not wrong, don't get me wrong. Rin definitely has her stupid moments, but...
あのな、そんなの分かってる。遠坂があんな真似するもんか。
Okay.
俺が言ってるのはそうじゃなくて、さっきの続きだよ。
Now that I know
どうするんだ？
now that I
やるの
know
かやらないのか。
her motive and how deep her feelings are, I'm fairly certain she's gonna be like, nah. One way or the other, she's gonna be like, nah. Whether it's immediate team up or we'll go our separate ways to continue this later. I'm expecting immediate team up. I'm hoping for continue this later. I know that. You won't do such a thing. What I want to ask is if you want to continue. Do you want to keep fighting or not? Hearing this, Tosaka freezes. How long did it last? Oh. I mean, the mood is kind of dead. The practical thing might just be to still take him out right now. But that's definitely not the nice thing, especially given that he, like, saved her life and everything. Especially given how much she thinks losing someone's magic wounds them. And she'd be frazzled right now after her life was saved anyways, so she might want some more time to think about it. So I think, I mean, the delay, at least a delay is inevitable. I'm hoping for the delay. Tosaka glares at me once. Then hangs her head as if giving up. Oh no! That's the hanging head of a, yeah, fine, we'll team up hanging head. Not the confident, we'll continue this later head. You're competent enough to save my life. Dealing with Ryder for a minute. A minute? A minute is a long time. In D&D, I don't think that was 10 full rounds. Ellipses. That's fine. That's more than fine. Shiro would prefer it, for sure. But it troubles me if she makes such a face near me, right? Because you don't want her to be sad on your account.
Tosaka,
Tosaka, what do you want to do? That's definitely the let's team up face. That's not the we'll put off our fight till later face.
やらない。今日はここまでにする。なんだかしらけちゃったし、また借りができちゃったし。
Okay, that's the we'll do it later face, but that's more of a Rin thing in general for her to make that face. So I feel like she's still in the let's team up mood, but maybe I'm wrong. I won't do it. This is it for today. I'm not in the mood anymore, and I owe you for another thing. I suppose. She gets up and brushes dirt off her knees.
じゃあ行くわよ。辛いだろうけど、うちに着くまで我慢して。
That's the let's go to my place so that we can team up and have a talk about it. Let's go to my place. Not the I want to heal your wounds and then after respectfully we part ways. Let's go to my place. Let's go. I know it hurts, but bear it until we get to my place. Yeah, she's showing you her home base. She's showing you an enemy her headquarters. That's definitely not we'll respectfully part. Well, it could be. It could be because of her honorableness of, oh, you saved my life, you get to see my place, then we part ways. It could be, but I'm doubting it. It's because I want to believe it so bad that I'm not believing it. Tosaka offers me her hand. And that's not the offering hand of we're being respectful, but I don't actually like you, Baka hand. That's the I like you, Baka hand. Ellipses question mark? Shio never went to Rin's house in Timeline 1. Oh, yeah. That's right. Outside of the prologue, her house is still pretty fresh in my memory. But yeah, Shiro never went there. That's very fair. Rin ended up just staying over at his place the whole time. He never went to her place. So yeah, definitely a big deal. It makes sense why they never went to her place, because Shiro's place is more protected with Archer being out of the equation. But with Archer being in the equation, she can afford to, you know, use her base as more of an actual base, which is very fair. So yeah, we get to see the lady's house. Ellipses question mark? I tilt my head in wonder and look at Tosaka's eyes. Her pretty blue eyes. The deepness of her prettiness is, come on, Shiro, give me that sex talk. I know you want to.
だから、私の家に行くわよって言ってるの。エミヤ君、自分じゃその傷治せないんだから。
I'm saying we're going to my house. You can't heal that wound yourself, right? The response normally would be, we could heal it at your place. But, you know, I guess the follow-up response is either, oh, well, we might see Sakura or Taiga. Or, I don't trust myself to be at your place, the enemy master's place. But then the response to that would be, well, then how can I trust you? Well, and then the response to that would be, well, I could have taken you out just now, right? That's how she's gonna tsundere her way out of it, I bet. She actually just wants to show the boy she likes her house.
いや、それはそうだけど、なんで?
Oh, well, that's true, but why?
なんでも何もないわよ。
Nandemo nanimo. Hey now. All of that to mean hey now? I love it when they do that. Hey now. You're an all-star. Get your game on. Get laid. No, too soon? In a little bit.
その傷、治療しないと壊死しちゃうじゃない。それで動かなくなったりしたら、私の落ち度みたいじゃない。
You'll die of necrosis if we leave that wound be. It'll be my fault if you lose your arm. Oh, and that's the hormones. That's the hormone face. Her game face is completely dead. There's no more game face. It's the hormone face. Exactly. Wait. I don't get it at all. Tosaka's house is on the residential district on the other side of the town. The bright side is Rin still hasn't recommended the team up yet, but I feel like she's the kind that would wait till she was at her place to recommend it anyways. So I'm not gonna count my rabbits before they poop. I guess there are Western style houses at the very top, but I've never actually been up there. This is as far as I've been, and I don't know anything about what lies ahead. So, this is the famous Western-style mansion at the top of the hill, the main base of Tosaka, a magus with a prestigious lineage. Dash dash, dash dash dash. I look up at the extravagant mansion, dumbfounded. No longer just plain dumb, though. I think I made that joke in Timeline 1 at some point. Dumbfounded. You sure you're not just plain dumb? No longer. No longer is he just plain dumb. Well, I thought I was used to things like this because of Shinji's house, but this has its own taste. You've been to Shinji's house before? I know you were in Timeline 1, but were you before not in Timeline 1? I'm surprised that Shinji would let you be over. Well, maybe a couple times it could have happened. I suppose. I don't remember specifically, but okay.
エミヤ君、玄関こっちだけど。
Emiya-kun, the entrance is over this way. You're still not calling him Shiro. Probably until you officially form the alliance, you won't let yourself call him Shiro. Right? I'm gonna watch for it. I'm gonna watch for the change.
分かってる分かってる
Yeah, I know, I know. I clear my throat and follow after Tosaka. Man. Shiro's still calling her Tosaka. I'm not sure if he ever switched from Tosaka to Rin in the other timeline. In Timeline 1. He might have at some point. But he might have never, to be honest, because he was a sabersexual. So maybe he just felt like being respectful of Tosaka the whole timeline. I don't remember. I could see him going either way. He definitely calls Sakura Sakura, not Mato. Then again, he also knows Shinji, so... I can understand if I'm on guard being invited to another master's base. But I'm getting nervous just thinking that I'm going to Tosaka's house. Yes, which makes you more nervous? The enemy master or the enemy lover? Giggity giggity. Oh, we dropped 6,700 frames at some point. Hope that wasn't all at once. So, this is the living room in Tosaka's house, the place Tosaka Rin lives every day.
それじゃあ腕を見せて。
Let me see your arm. How much is 6,000 seconds if it's all at once? Or not 6,000 seconds, 6,000 frames. 30 frames a second, 300 frames in 10 seconds, 3,000 frames in 100 seconds, 200 seconds. That's about 3 minutes. That's not terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible. Anyways, let me see your arm. She gets straight to the point.
悪い頼む
Please. Wari Tomu. Okay. Be pleased. Very well. Wari Tomu. Okay. Just a weird form of please. I sit on the chair and show her my right arm. She takes off the towel that's wrapped around it. I think she's closer to me now. The closer you get to something, the harder it is to see it, and I'll never... Let's go. Sorry. I didn't know this before, but her black hair looks really pretty and causes my heart to beat faster. Oh yeah, we're on the Rin train. We're on the Rin sex train. I recognize this dialogue. This type of dialogue. He has fully Rinalized. Rinalized? He's been fully toe-suckered in.
あれ、おかしいな。傷口がさっきより小さくなってる。
Huh?
エミヤ君、自然治癒のまじないでもかけてるの？
She looks cute up close like this. Also, we're real close. That's weird. The wound's smaller than before. Do you have a healing charm on you? Saber talked to me about this before. I don't, but I have Avalon. Is Shiro gonna realize this? Is he just gonna go the whole pathway not knowing? I feel like he's gonna find out. Maybe this is around the time they're gonna find out they're gonna team up, and then maybe Rin and me and Saber will all have talk about it. Again, I don't really want them to team up, but if they do team up, then I want them to address some of this stuff as quickly as possible.
いや、そんなことないぞ、断じて。
No, that's not true.
そうなの？その割には傷、もうほとんど塞がってるんだけど。
Really? But your wound's almost healed. Okay. So the other option I'm seeing in my mind, now that I think about it, is if they want to have a Rin-Shiro relationship that's, it ebbs and flows and comes to... the alternative, if they want to team up right away, would be later on when Shiro's like, hey, do you want to be romantic? And Rin's like, no, we are enemy masters. It can't be. And they still have to have a final confrontation anyway, where Rin confronts her feelings. I feel like they could do that without turning it into a fight, but they could turn it into a fight, I guess. I still want them to have a fight. They need to resolve their fight. That's what I want. They need to fight.
いや、だから別に綺麗だとかなんとかって今なんて言った？
No, I didn't say anything about it being pretty, huh? What did you say, Tosaka? Anything about it being pretty? It's not pretty. Are you gonna accept now, Shiro, that you're kind of special? I mean, this is a different you're more special beyond this, I feel, but.
だから傷はほとんど治ってるって言ったの。私がしたのは血止めだけだから治ってるなんてことはないはずなんだけど。
I said your wound's almost healed up. I only stopped your bleeding, so it shouldn't be healed. Interesting. In the other timeline, she realized something weird was up with Shiro when he healed from almost death, and she suspected that it was a connection to Saber and the servant Saber. Or at least she said she suspected that, whether or not she was telling the truth. But low self-esteem, Shiro thinking he's special. He got humiliated by Riot. He didn't get that humiliated by Riot. He did pretty good against her. And she didn't get to live by, she said that I'll prove to you how good I am, but she never got a chance. She didn't even finish Shiro off. We got away. I'd say that was a win for us. No reason to have low self-esteem. I think it's just that even though it's fine for him to accept hard truths, that doesn't mean he's so willing to accept weird truths. Like, wait, I'm that special? I'm not that special. How am I that special? Which I think is different from not accepting hard truths. It's weird truths, which I think is different.
そんなこと言われても知らないぞ、俺。
But I don't know anything about it. Uh-huh.
本当？前にもこんなことがあったけど、本当に心当たりないの？
Really? You don't have a clue even though something like this happened before as well? Oh. Are you referring to what happened with, when I protected Saber? Or do you mean from long ago when we first met? Are we gonna bring that up? You probably mean from when, Saber, and all that jazz. So is you still gonna have the theory of it being Saber, but maybe you'll look into it more this time because, you're more into my gym jams this time? Or you feel more willing to let yourself into my gym jams because I'm less of a Saber-sexual? Given enough time, it's possible, we end up banging in that timeline too, given that Saber is no longer around in the equation. It's not impossible. Then again, you might not have properly developed enough to the point where that becomes healthy for us. Hard to say what would have happened, posthumous in that timeline, but...
待った。ますますわからない。前もあったって、どのくらい前のことだ？
Hold on, you're confusing me more now. Something like this happened before? When?
前は前よ。
It was recently. Oh, or do you mean with the whole jewel thing, where the jewel saved him, and then he was up and at him and ready to move way too quickly when he should have been resting? Or what do you mean?
エミヤ君、バーサーカーに襲われた後、背中にざっくり破片が刺さったでしょ。
That one, that's fair. That's very fair. You were wounded when Berserker attacked, right?
あの後、私が手を加えなくても傷は治ってたし。
That wound healed up by itself.
まあ、あの時はあなた自身の魔術だと思ってたんだけど、そんな器用じゃないものね、あなた。
Maybe in Timeline 1 they could have developed an unhealthy relationship? Unhealthy Shiro-Rin relationship! Score! No, it's fine. Timeline 1, Shiro just ends up with Ilya. I dig it. Now that I think about it, you're not that skillful. I thought it was your magic at the time, but yeah, that would be weird.
はいはい、不器用で悪かったな。けど、それってどういうことだ？俺、今までそんなことはなかったけど。
Sorry, I'm not skillful, but what does it mean? I've never had such a thing happen to me before. What does it mean? Indeed, indeed. Ilya's too busy taking over the Yakuza. She can do multiple things. She can multitask. She can multitask her time with her Oni-chan Shiro-kun.
そうね。考えられるとしたら、セイバーと契約したことが原因じゃないかな。エミヤ君とセイバーがどんな契約を結んだかは知らないけど、サーバントの中には契約者を不死にする者もいるっていうから。
Right. This was the same theory you had in the first timeline, and it led me astray in my thinking for a long time. Right, right. And it's wrong. The only reason I can think of is the contract you made with Saber. I don't know how you formed your contract, but I hear that there are servants that make their contractor immortal. Really? What's an example? Does Berserker make Ilya immortal? I don't know. I don't know if I'm aware of any such example.
セイバー自身の自然治癒能力がそのままエミヤ君にも流れているのかもしれない。
Saber's self-healing powers might be flowing into you. That is incorrect. Wrong answer. Are you going to lead me astray again? Maybe Shiro's going to be smart enough to bring it up to Saber and be like, is that what's happening? And Saber's going to be like, no, that's on you. It's Avalon.
なら、セイバーと契約している限りは、怪我をしてもなんとかなるってことか。
Does that mean my wounds will heal as long as our contract exists? In theory, your wounds should keep healing afterwards with Avalon. They might be lesser healing, though. But they should still continue because you healed with Avalon in the first place, theoretically, when Lancer stabbed you and it should have been a sure kill and you lived a little bit.
まあ、そういうことになるけど、それは当てにしない方がいいわよ。結局、あなたの傷を治してるのはセイバーってことになるんだから、セイバーの魔力を消費することになるし。
Well, I guess so, but I wouldn't rely on it. Saber's healing your wounds, so it means you'll be using up Saber's magical energy. I agree not relying on it, but knowing it's there can affect your strategy and your decision makings.
何より、あなたのは傷を癒す力であって、生を返すものじゃないわ。死んでしまえばそれまでなんだから、今回みたいな無茶は控えなさい。
More importantly, that's a power to heal your wounds and not bring you back to life. Bring me back from basically not life, though. I don't know, you just haven't seen Timeline 1. I got really stupidly close to dying and ended up like, there was the time where my body basically split apart and pulled itself back together like with swords or some shit, right? That couldn't just be Avalon. Maybe it is, but that's crazy. It's like he sewed himself back together, didn't he? With like sword birth? That doesn't sound like it's Avalon. If that is Avalon, Avalon's really strong if I really need it to be. But that shit sounds like even if I am, like maybe literally death, yes. But as long as I will it, death shouldn't even come to me. But the only reason he's able to function with so few hours of sleep is Avalon. Oh gosh. It's giving him unhealthy habits in that case. Don't do such a reckless thing again. It'll be all over if you die. I mean, sure, but which was the reckless thing? Following after the servant? I mean, I suppose, but we learned some useful information, such as the identity of one of the other masters. I'm not telling you it, but, you know. Oh. I don't know when she did it, but the bandage is wrapped already and the treatment is done. She pats my arm and stands up. Okay, now what, Tosaka? What's your next step?
さて、それじゃあお茶でも入れようか。エミヤくん、砂糖とミルクどっちがいい？
Right into the courting. Alright. I'll go get us some tea. Do you want some milk or sugar in your tea? I mean, I'm not much of a tea drinker, but, I'll have whatever you have, baby. I'll take it black.
いや、どっちもいらないけど、遠坂、その前に教えてくれないか。
I don't want either, but can you tell me one thing before that, Tosaka? What's Archer doing again? I don't even remember anymore. Can someone remind me, like, what her excuse was? I don't know if that's what he was actually doing. Maybe he was standing guard, but she said something like he was doing that poisons the tea. I think it'd be weird to do that at this point, but, oh man. Archer was not involved, and I know why he wasn't involved. I don't even know if what she said was the real reason, but I'm trying to remember her excuse, if it was an excuse. Because I'm assuming he'll show up sooner or later, right? Unless he's still busy doing whatever it was, like protecting the school from looking into Castor, maybe. We don't know what Archer is doing. What did she say about him, then? Did she not say anything? She said that Archer is something, but I'm enough to take care of you. Just Archer is busy? He was not with Rin? Oh. Maybe he is busy dealing with Castor, or distracting Castor, or keeping a perimeter watch. I don't know. In which case he did a shitty perimeter watch because Ryder snuck in. So he's probably was busy looking into the Castor situation, I would assume. I don't want either. Can you tell me one thing before that, Tosaka?
いいけど、何？
What?
さっき言ってたことだよ。学校にもう一人マスターがいて、そいつが何かしてるって。
It's about what you said before. You said something about there being another master at our school.
ああ、そのこと？そっか、エミヤくんじゃ結界には気づかないか。まあ、簡潔に言うとね、学校には私とあなた以外にもう一人マスターがいて、
Oh,
さっ
that?
きみたいなことを繰り返してるのよ。
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't notice the boundary field set up there, huh? To put it simply, there's another master at school who's doing things like what we just saw. Okay. Cool. Dash. And you hid that from me until now. I guess we weren't properly aligned. Are we aligned now? Close enough, right? I recall the female student. The one who was attacked? She was pale and Tosaka said she would have died if we hadn't found her.
マスターはマスターだけを狙うわけじゃないか。
So masters don't only go after other masters, huh? Well, maybe the nice ones do.
あの神父が言ってたことだけど、なんでそんなことをするんだ？
It's like that priest said, but why would they do such a thing? As bait. They were luring you into a trap.
聖杯戦争に勝つためでしょう。サーバントは人の精神を食べれば食べるほど魔力を蓄えられる。
To win the Holy Grail, of course. Servants can acquire more magical energy the more they feed on human minds.
学校にいるマスターはね、うちの生徒をみんな生贄にして自分のサーバントを強くしようって魂胆なんでしょう。
The master at our school wants to use everyone as sacrifices to make his or her servants stronger.
生徒を生贄にするって正気かそいつ。
Using the students as sacrifices? Is that master insane?
さあ、けど学校にはすでに結界が張られてる。
Who knows? But there's a boundary field set up at our school. I mean, if he kills all the students, if he kills everyone at the school, then there'll be no witnesses. Also, at least in Timeline 1, he didn't actually use the full thing. He just used it prematurely to catch Rin off guard or whatever, and just have them injured.
まだ完成してないけど、一度発動すればあの敷地にいる人間はみんな衰弱死するでしょうね。まあ、そんなことは私が許さないけど。
It's not complete, but everyone inside will weaken and die once it's activated. Well, it's not like I'm gonna let that happen. So, yeah, you think, if anything, we should definitely work together to stop that, because that's a really big, bad threat that we should at least stop, even if we don't need to necessarily work together for the Berserker thing. I can understand your motives for wanting to deal with me and wanting to, you know, maybe you think I'm not competent enough to deal with that master, but I think that at least would be a reason why you'd want to team up with me. But I don't want our team up. You've given me the idea of our fight. Ah! Not want to see a full power field. Yeah, probably. But Shinji, it seems like that, at least in Timeline 1, his plan was to catch them off guard by setting it off early, making them think they knew when it was going to happen, but doing it early. But, yeah. It would make sense, especially now that you've told me this, for us to team up to deal with it. The only reason not to is because you're worried about me and don't think I'm competent enough, but you would never say that out loud to me, because it would make you feel all cooties. But now that you've told me about the field, you basically have to tell me about that to get out of an alliance, I feel. I mean, you don't have to, but with how honorable you are, I feel like you would. And then at that point, you've just spilled the whole beans of how much you feel for him, essentially. Tosaka explains with a cool voice. This must be something she's known for days. She knew what she had to do and went to school, even though she told me not to. Yeah, because she wanted to deal with the master. She told you not to because she didn't want you getting involved in their scuffle. She knew it's dangerous to be there, but she still went to stop the master who set up the boundary field. Dash, dash. Question mark? What's up? What are you thinking, Rin? What am I thinking? What do you think I'm thinking? I'm ashamed of myself. For being so stupid? To go to the school? Oh, is that what you think? She was trying to scare you away? Forced you to not go to school anymore? You think that's what she was doing? I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, she gave you that chance. And, well, she didn't really give you that. Her plan wasn't quite that. Although you're on the right train of thought, I would say, if that's what you're thinking. Is that she wanted to scare you away. And that she wasn't actually planning to kill you. And she wasn't planning to kill you, but, yeah. It's only natural for Tosaka to get mad at me, who came to school without thought. I wasn't prepared for anything as I was trying to continue my peaceful everyday life. That's a very fair point. Uh-huh. Is there a particular reason you were doing that? I guess you could say to avoid suspicion, because if you start suddenly not going to school, you'll arouse suspicion. So if there's another master at school, going to school is dangerous because they might notice you. But at the same time, not going to school might key them off that, oh shit, he's suddenly not coming to school. Is that a master? So there's merit to it, but again, you should have your servant close by, because it's risky otherwise.
ちょっとどうしたのよ、さっきから落ち込んじゃって。私何か言っちゃった？
What's wrong? Why are you so depressed? Did I say something bad? No, he's just ashamed, because it turns out you were worried about him all along, which is true, but... She looks at me uneasily. I bet she's a misunderstanding again. You're slightly misunderstanding, but at least you're closing in on the mark, I think.
いや、そうじゃないんだ。ただ、お前には勝てないなって、そう思った。
No, you're wrong. I just thought I'd never be able to beat you. How much did you miss? Let's see. Well, I was fighting Ryder, and then I was given a choice, and it's like, do you use the command spell? And I'm like, I feel like they're hinting that if I use the command spell, Ryder's got a thingy thing, so I didn't use the command spell, and then Rin ended up saving me, so I was right, no bad ending, and then now we're walking back to the house, and she's like, she was going to take care of my wound, but my wound was way lessened, and she's like, whoa, your wound's way lessened. Are you magic? But we haven't really gotten to the crux of what's going on. She just had the same wrong theory as in the other timeline where Saber's doing that. And it's kind of true because of Avalon, but Saber didn't know about Avalon being in me. Or if she did, she didn't say anything. Anyways. And now Rin's telling me about the boundary field around the school. And Shiro's like, oh shoot, there's another master, so I was being maybe derpy by going to school, so of course she got mad at me. It all makes sense. I just thought that I'd never be able to beat you. Oh, that's what Shiro's thinking? Oh no, because now Rin's gonna get all... And I don't even think it's necessarily true. I don't think Shiro would ever have the will to beat Rin, necessarily. Because, you know, he's not necessarily able to close off his emotions as effectively as Rin, I feel. However, I think if he technically was in a position where he didn't like Rin, I think he could, if we're just talking about fight prowess, but... I also think he might be able to negotiate to her now that he knows more stuff about her motives, if they were to refight, which is looking less and less likely. I think it's wrong for me to apologize, so I try to tell her how I feel.
なんだよ。今のは別にさっきのことじゃなくてだな。
Well, what? This isn't about the previous fight.
分かってるわよ。それよりエミヤくん、とりあえず休戦しない？
Do you mean definitely can't contend with Rin? Oh, end of timeline 1. I thought you said timeline 1 Shiro. I didn't read the end of part. Yes, end of timeline 1 Shiro, definitely. Can contend with Rin. I know. Emiya-kun, do you want to make peace for now? There it is. There's the peace treaty. Shiro wouldn't say no to that. We have it locked in. Alright. Maybe they'll still fight later on. I want to see proper resolution. So maybe it's possible later on as their feelings get more mangled, Rin's like, I can't like you this much. I have to fight you, and then it ends up happening anyway. But then Shiro gets to refight and gets to beat her with words. Or she gets mind controlled, but then it's not the same kind of hormonal because they have to resolve it. I feel like it has to be resolved negotiation-wise to an extent. And if it's just a darker version of her getting mind controlled, is that the same thing? Anyways. They're definitely going to have a climax in terms of their relationship where they're like, I'm not sure if that's okay. I just don't know if that'll lead to any kind of fight. I would like it if it did, though, because I want to fight. We can fight in a different timeline. No, I want it to be the through line of this timeline, that we resolve the fight in this timeline. I don't care about other timelines. I'm focused on this one. If they break up the fight midway, I want to see a resolution to it, or a rematch, as it were, in the same timeline. That's what I want. Do you want to make peace for now? She's saying for now. I feel like this is going to be mostly just a permanent alliance beyond, again, the hormonal we like each other. But do we like each other enough to feel awkward enough to fight because we think we like each other too much? Maybe. Then, she attacks me with a smile that makes my heart jump. Shiro's just in full hormone mode now.
休戦って、俺と遠坂で?
You mean a truce between us? I mean, in Timeline 1, we had a truce just much sooner. And I know it's chronologically this comes after Timeline 1. In some ways that makes it better, in some ways that makes it worse, because I have the context of what she would have been willing to do a truce for right away. That is to say, the whole Archer getting miffed thing. But if we're going to end up having a truce anyways, it almost feels like the quarrel initially, I like it only if it's more of a through line where it does get resolved later and that was build up. Because if it's just, oh, they truce now and then they're truced forever, the little fight they had that didn't get resolved will feel like wasted time, if anything. I understand the motivations behind it and the reasoning behind it, but hopefully that gets narratively satisfyingly concluded. You mean a truce between us?
そう。学校に潜むマスターはたちが悪いし、エミヤ君も敵に知られちゃったしね。私としてはあなたより先にあっちを片付けておきたいの。
Okay, she's still speaking
だからそれまで
temporarily.
休戦して、二人でさっきのマスターを探さない？
The master at our school is ill-natured, and the enemy now knows about you. I personally want to take care of the other master before you, so do you want to cooperate and look for this other master? I feel like she's lying to herself with the idea that it's only going to be temporary, but at least her words are saying temporary. So there's a possibility for a second coming of the fight. It's possible. Dash, 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 dash. I feel like if the narrative is being fully satisfying, there should be a second coming in some form. So I want to trust that there is, but at the same time, I've made the mistake in the past of being like, okay, the narrative knows what it's doing, it's definitely going to be satisfying, and then we get there and it isn't, and it hurts more. So I want to be prepared in advance for it not being satisfying in that aspect. Anyways, I feel like if Persona 4 taught me anything, it's don't trust that it'll always be satisfying. It is a mistake to trust. I'm taken aback, but I think calmly. No, there's no need to think. What Tosaka said is correct, and more than that, I cannot ignore this master. First of all, I decided to fight so I can stop masters that will hurt innocent people. Gosh, now I'm thinking back to Persona 4. I don't want to talk too much about that, but basically there's this one problem I had that I thought, oh, this will be resolved eventually, so I'm going to complain about it now because, you know, the longer they put it off, clearly it's like, what are you doing? Resolve this already. And they just never resolved it, and so that's why I wish I had just dropped it much sooner, but like, hindsight. So yeah, I ended up ranting about that for the whole playthrough because they never dropped it. And it hurt the most at the end because I'm like, they had to resolve it, and they didn't. First of all, I decided to fight so that I can stop masters that will hurt innocent people. Is Shiro thinking there's 4 masters at the school? There's reason to think so because Lancer was there. Lancer's master isn't at the school, but they at least know of the school and can monitor it. So it's not wrong to make an assumption that there's 4.
どう？悪い条件じゃないと思うけど。
How about it? I don't think it's a bad proposal.
ああ、遠坂が力を貸してくれるなら頼もしい。
Yeah, it'll be great if you could help me.
待った。別に私はエミヤ君に力を貸すわけじゃないわ。ただ、休戦協定を結んだだけよ。
Hold on, it doesn't mean I'll be helping you. We're just promising that we won't attack each other. Okay, you're still on the edge because you aren't quite willing to let you like me. So maybe there's hope. There's hope for a temporary spat. There should theoretically be a temporary spat. It would make sense. And also with her hormones being so on edge, because she still is enough in the fight, because Archer is competent enough right now that she doesn't need to let her guard down yet. Is she still calling me Emiya? Hold on. I don't think is she calling me Shiro yet? Let's see here. Tosaga, give me some quotes. Is she I mean, the Japanese dialogue says the names more often than the actual text does, so it's hard to say. She's still calling me Emiya. I think until I say yes to the truth, she'll call me Emiya. But if she keeps calling me Emiya after that, that's telling that she's not letting her guard down, which suggests a reignition of the beef. So I think I'm going to pay attention if she starts calling me Shiro again. I'm thinking she won't, since that would make more sense, that she wouldn't want to let herself call me Shiro. Yeah. It'll be great if you can help me. Hold on, it doesn't mean I'll be helping you. We're just promising that we won't attack each other.
敵の敵は味方なんてわけにはいかないか。
I see. So it doesn't mean enemy of an enemy is your ally, huh?
ええ。けど、それまでは信頼して。あなたが私を裏切らない限り、私はエミヤ君を助けるから。
Nope, but you can trust me for now. I'll help you as long as you don't betray me. I mean, as long as you don't betray me. I'm sure I would never want to do that with how much he is lusting for you at this point. She declares so. Also, wait, you just said, it doesn't mean I'll be helping you. I'll help you as long as you don't betray me. Well, you backpedaled real quick. Might just be a translation issue. Or maybe she's being that much of a flippy flab. This is so like her, and I'm honestly thankful for this fortune that's been brought upon me. Especially now that you have the hots for her. Especially so.
よかった。それなら、遠坂はずっと味方だ。
Oh gosh.
これからよろしくな、遠坂。
Flashback to Taiga Dojo Rin. Just the betrayers. Well, yeah. Great, then you'll be my ally forever. Please give me your best regards, Tosaga. I nod and hold out my right hand. Oh no.
短い間だろうけど、せいぜい役に立ってよね。
Of course. Now that I said forever, she has to counteract like, I'm not going to hold your hand until I make it clear it's not forever. I'm sure it won't last a long time, so at least be of some use to me, okay? Tosaga sounds ungracious. Oh, you see that blush. That blush. But I won't be tricked by it. Shio betraying Rin would lead to the darkest route? Well, I mean, you know, we didn't betray Saber in the other time, and she fucking betrayed us, so it's impossible. There's I'm sure it's probably going to be the same thing, right? Where we have to take enough of Rin's waifu boxes for there to not be a grody ending where she's like, in reality, you're actually my biggest enemy, and she hormones against me or something at the end. So probably I need to take enough of Rin's boxes. Thankfully, I was lucky in my first timeline. I ended up not taking enough of Saber's by accident. So we got to see the bad end first, which is arguably more narratively satisfying. I am not going to try to not take Rin's boxes, though. I like her enough. I'm not going to necessarily try to take her boxes per se. I'll do what I think seems right. And if they tick the boxes, they tick them. And if they don't, they don't. We'll go back, assuming there is some darkest timeline, Rin timeline. I assume there would be. We'll go back and untick them later on if we don't tick them the first time, though, to see it. But I won't be tricked by it. Because she puts out her right hand, and most of all, because she firmly shakes my hand.
なるほどね。道理でおかしいと思った。つまりエミヤ君は正式な後継者じゃないんだ。魔術刻印を引き継ぐ前にお父さんが死んじゃったんでしょ？
So far, she's still calling him Emiya-kun. I see. No wonder I thought it was strange. So, you're not an official successor, huh? Your dad died before he handed out the magic crest to you, right?
どうなのかな。親父は俺に魔術刻印を引き継がせる気はなかったみたいだし、魔術師になるのには反対してた。
I don't know. I don't think my father wanted to pass his magic crest to me, and he was also against the fact that I wanted to be a magus. And it's not like he could, because you're not blood related, though I guess you haven't said that to Rin yet?
けどエミヤ君に魔術は教えたのよね。
But he taught you
なん
magic,
か矛
right?
盾してないそれ。
Isn't that contradictory?
かもな。親父、俺が諦めないから仕方なく教えたって感じだったし、初めに魔術師じゃなく魔術使いになれなんて言ってたし。
That weird Rin disappearance in the middle is weird. Maybe. It seemed like he taught me magic because I wouldn't give up. He also told me from the beginning to be a magic user and not a magus. We talk about unimportant stuff for a while. Ah, yes. I was gonna make a 4-play joke, but I've already made 4-play jokes. That's not... The 5-play! What? Sex terms. 69.
協力関係になった以上、エミヤ家の事情が知りたい。
That sounds like a base. That sounds like one of the bases. You know, we got first base, second base. That sounds like a base. Since we're cooperating, I want to know about your family. Then tell me about yours. Tosaka asked me that question, and it's now getting into how I learned magic. Aftercare. Aftercare? After the intense session. The intense foreplay session? Fair. Or the intense makeout session. I mean, with our shaking hands just now, I mean, some can consider that making out. Emiya Kiritsugu was a lone wolf magus that came from the outside. In contrast, Tosaka's family has proper lineage and supervises this land. Normally, a magus from outside must show good faith to the supervisor of the land, but Kiritsugu did not do so. You don't know what aftercare is, Rennie? Oh shoot, is there a sex term I don't know? Oh no. Oh no, now I have to Google it so I don't feel like I'm being slut-shamed. Aftercare. What is aftercare? Well, I mean, they're just talking aftercare, Urban Dictionary. The psychological or physical care, either dormant or submissive, receives after playing in kind, BDSM, or fetish situations. I apologize to all my fellow horn dogs. I was not familiar with the aftercare in such the context of the sexy time. I'm so sorry. I am so innocent. I'm so sorry. I didn't know the Urban Dictionary definition of aftercare. Actually, he hid the fact he was a magus. As Tosaka Rin is the head of the Tosaka family, she is the supervisor of this land, even though she's young. She was entrusted with the supervision 10 years ago, and it's only recently that she actually became able to protect the land. You gonna make any kind of connection about how Shira was saved by... Well, no, because Kirei already flat out said the fire was because of blah blah blah. And frickin' Rin's dad used fire magic. Crack theory that he created the fire. Now, of course, I know that's not true, and also there's been no indication from Rin that Rin's dad used fire magic. But if she did, I could have had that theory. In theory, I wouldn't now, because I know, but it could have theoretically been theorized. Fake horn dog confirmed. How dare you? All of my horn doggeries are real. I raise my horn dogs with love and care. And aftercare. Now that I know what that is. Well, that's why the Tosaka family never knew about Kiritsugu's experience, and why they didn't know about his son, who is a magus. Not quite his real son, but close enough, I guess. Trusted 10 years ago, and it's only recently she actually became able to protect this land. Until then, it was Kirei acting instead. Acting in her stead. Difference between horny perverted and actually fucking. Well, I mean, you know, you really go out and say the fuck word, like... Cootie's gross.
魔術使いか。それじゃあエミヤ君、本当に素人なんだ。自分が扱える魔術以外、魔導の知識はないわけね。
A magic user, huh? Then you really are an amateur. You don't have any knowledge other than the magic you can use, right?
ああ、そういうこと。俺が使えるのは強化だけだからな。他のことは名称とか概要とか、そんなことしかわからない。さっきだって強化で机を縦にしただけだし、あれにしたって今までで一番うまくできた魔術だった。
That's right. I can only use the strengthening magic. I only know a bit of other things. What I did before was just casting the strengthening magic on a desk to use as a shield. That was the best magic I've ever done. at least in Timeline 2. Now I'm thinking about how there was the Berserker fight in Timeline 1, where Shiro first did his sword birth, was a big pivotal moment in the narrative. And, it's the kind of thing that they can't really replicate in Timeline 2. So I was thinking about how Shiro's like, oh, maybe I'm going to make the blades that Archer had, and how they might be leading that into another later fight. And sure, they could, but there's no reason to hold their load for too long, because it's not as big of a deal, because we know he can do sword birth to some extent. Him doing Archer's sword instead of Saber's, you know, it might matter for his characterization, but it does nothing as far as a plot twist goes. It's to be predicted, so it can't be used as such a strong turning moment unless the turning moment comes with more of a realization. There's not much of a reason to hold their load, is what I'm thinking. So if they're, you know, building up the foreshadowing of Shiro's, you know, making Archer's daggers, there isn't much purpose unless there's a greater meaning beyond just sword birth, is what's going through my head right now. But that was the best magic I've ever done.
ちょっと本気？なんでそんなことまで私に喋るのよ、あんたは。
Are you serious? Why are you telling me something like that? What, are you gonna betray me? Then, she gets mad like it's her own affair. Yeah, she's still trying to protect me. She thought I was sort of competent, but now I'm like, oh, I actually suck. Now she has to get all flustered and think if it's worth it anymore.
なんだ、トサカ。今の突っ込むところか。
Is it something to be angry about? Or maybe she feels kind of bad that she had to be saved by such an amateur?
突っ込むところっていうか、エミヤくん。
She's still calling him Emiya-kun. I'm watching that. I'm listening and watching. Hey now, look, Emiya-kun.
私たち手を組んだけど、それでも内緒にしなくちゃいけないことってあるでしょ？
We're cooperating, but there are things we should still keep secret, right? I mean, I don't know. If you want to share your whole load, I'll share my whole load. Then there really will be no going back at that point, basically.
手の内は隠しておくべきだし、第一、魔術師にとって自分の魔術は隠し通すべきものよ。
We should be hiding the scope of our power, and first of all, a magus has to keep his magic hidden at all costs. That is a fair point. A counterpoint. I want your weenus. I want you to want my weenus.
そうか？今さら隠しても仕方がないだろう。そりゃ、人には言えないことだけど、トサカは魔術師だ。話しても問題ない。それに、相手が何であれ、魔術は必死になって隠すことじゃないって親父は言ってたし。
But it's meaningless to keep it a secret now, right? It's true that it's not something to be telling people, but you're a magus. It's not a problem to tell you. And Father told me that magic is not something to hide desperately. Well, how much do you want to hide it if you're not going to hide it desperately? Hiding the scope of our magic. I mean, because Rin's still on the we have to eventually fight mindset. Shiro isn't thinking about that at all. Which makes sense, because Shiro's only plan is make sure someone bad doesn't win the Grail, and maybe help Saber win. But Ren, you know, she actually, you know, pride and stuff. Pride, power, go!
何それ？エミヤくんの父親、本気でそんなこと言ってたの？
What is that? Did your dad really say such a thing? Don't try to hide your magic so desperately that you have to, you know, do bad things like kill innocents? I don't know. I mean, in this case, just hide your magic so that the society won't kill them anyway. I don't know. Oh, is there an uh-oh? Oh, we do have an uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, my KBS is being a bit of a mess. We're not too far from when I would normally stop. And it's being enough of a mess. And I don't want to ruin the integrity of what I'm doing, whatever. So I think I will pull out here. We've had a satisfying, we resolved the rider situation, and now we're into sort of alliancing with Ren. I think I'm fine to call it here. Feels like a fine enough beat. I could keep going for a bit longer, but not too much longer anyway. So I'd rather stop here if it's going to keep dipping like this. So for the YouTube audience, still don't have an outro phrase. See you guys next time. We're teaming up with Rin, I guess. Maybe we can fight later.